Welcome to Get Savvy, the podcast for business owners who want to claim back their time through the power of delegation, streamlining, and productivity. I'm your host, Teesha, here today with Jo, my co-host, who you may know from every previous episode, and the founder of Strictly Savvy.
Oh, thanks for having me back again. I feel so privileged to be on episode 10.
We've made it 10 episodes, the big 1-0. This episode, we are going to be talking about how to get started with automating your business processes. So a big topic for us and one that we hope can help a lot of businesses.
And we're going to go through and have this as a beginner's guide to business automation because, as Teesha said, it's a very big topic, but we want to help you get started and maybe do your first automation inside your business. So we've got some great ideas for you.
Yeah. So automation is one of the key ways to propel your business forward. It actually does allow you to free up time so that you can focus on other important tasks. And eventually you might even be able to have your business run without you, which would be the ultimate goal for a lot of people out there.
And check out episode 1, was it, where we talked about that and how we have systemized everything inside Strictly Savvy.
Yeah.
And I think one of the kind of key things to think about here too is I know that you may be listening thinking, oh, but I like the customer interaction and that personal touch that we have, and I don't want to lose that by using robots or using tools and making it like really not personable anymore. But that's not what this is about. This is about some of those background processes that we can help you streamline and automate so that you can then have those really personal relationships with your client and spend more time doing that.
Yeah. And it may also seem like scary or overwhelming almost to start automating your business. And it can take some time. So you may not know where to start. But one of the other misconceptions, I guess you would say, is people thinking that automation means that you're going to actually take jobs away from either yourself or your staff. But that is not what we're aiming to do here either. We're trying to help you work more efficiently in your business. And like I said, free up time to focus on other important tasks rather than just taking someone's job away. Then they can actually focus on doing a lot more for you.
Yeah, and things that they actually enjoy rather than very menial, manual processes and, boring kind of things.
Yeah.
We want to switch them to be doing really high valuable work for you and enjoying their job even more. So that's what automation is all about.
Yes, absolutely. And we have also talked previously about the sort of specific tasks that you would first look at actually automating. So we do have a previous episode on that, and go and listen to that. Either you could actually do it after this one and have some really specific examples, but we'll get into it anyway. And we'll talk about our first step, which is determining the processes in your business that are repetitive, are time consuming, or are actually prone to human error.
That's absolutely the first step. Figuring out what are going to be some of those tasks that you can automate. So we're going to go through a bunch of examples of tasks, processes that you might have in your business that you could actually set up an automation to complete for you.
Mm-hmm. So we'll give you some examples, but like I said, you may just need to actually sit down, figure out what processes in your business are those repetitive tasks, so those daily, weekly, monthly tasks, or even hourly tasks. Those ones you definitely want to get on the list. But we'll give you some examples, and again, they may not be suitable for your business, but as a starting point. So we have talked about before as well in Strictly Savvy, we have a induction course that we have automated so that we don't have to have a manager inducting every single new team member and talking them through every single thing over and over again, because it quite literally is them just repeating themselves every single time. And if you think about it as well, that human error could sneak in here as well if they're not telling every single team member the exact same thing every time and missing those steps. So this is a really big thing to look at automating, purely because it will free up so much time because onboarding someone usually doesn't just take half an hour, it takes half a day, a whole week
Mm.
potentially, depending on your business. So, doing something like recording those processes on a video course or even having them written down is, yeah, a really great chunky one.
Mm. So you may think, oh, that doesn't really feel like automation, like some kind of robot is doing something. And no, automation is not about, using an AI tool or using a tool to actually process something. Sometimes it can be actually just streamlining the
Mm,
process in terms of having things documented
yeah.
so that someone could go in and watch or read those things. That is automating the process of inducting the staff member. So
Mhm.
it's something to think about.
Yes. Then we also have things such as data entry, like entering something into one of your tools and then it gets put into another tool. So, also figuring out any of the existing apps that you have or tools for your business that you have that actually talk to each other and can integrate in some way. Having a look at those integrations and figuring out if any of them actually work for your business.
Mm. This could be where you have a new client or customer on board or purchase something, and then you need their information to be in that
Mm,
kind of sales tool wherever you sell to them. But also, you might need to set them up in your time tracking tool or in your task management tool or get a project set up.
mhm,
Maybe you do websites for people. Having that project then automatically go into your project management tool without you having to data entry or one of your team data entering the information in. So if you're finding that you're putting your customers' details into multiple
mm,
places,
yeah.
that's something that could be identified as something to automate.
Yeah, absolutely. We also have things such as booking discovery calls and sending reminders. And again, this may seem like a bit of a weird one, but just taking out a really small step in the process of a team member actually having to manually book that in a calendar and have it so that your customer can choose a time, it books it automatically into your salesperson's calendar. They then, like Joe said, go into your CRM and you have the customer's details and it's all just in there for you and you haven't actually had to touch it yet. And then obviously they still do the discovery call or the sales call. So that part isn't necessarily automated, but everything leading up to it is.
hmm The reminders to the person who's booked in to make sure that they do turn up, sending an automatic email with the information that they need to prepare for the call, some things they need to think about. It could be asked straight after something gets sent to them then. So, what in that process could actually be automated using a tool
Yeah.
and your salesperson not having to actually touch anything until the actual discovery call?
Mm. And one that is slightly similar as well as a lead magnet process. So on your website, having like an email sign up, say, and then again, your customers automatically going into this workflow, they're going to get a series of automated emails. They might get that first specific lead magnet document that they've put their details in to get, but then you can also drip feed them content and that can be going out automatically without you manually having to send them an email every single day for a week.
hmm
That's going to save so much time.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you might have a chat tool on your website, maybe Messenger, something like
Mm,
that, where your potential customers and clients might be asking questions. And often they're asking the same question. So having some frequently asked responses that can be either automated or can be chosen from a list. So
yeah.
someone can go in and click to say, yes, I want to give that response to this person. It just speeds up that whole process.
Yeah.
That's a great one to implement.
I absolutely love that one specifically because I was that person that was responding to all of our Facebook inquiries for people asking if we were hiring, asking how to become a virtual assistant, and just being able to have a set reply for every person that asks them because we get them daily, if not even hourly sometimes. So, yeah, that meant that I didn't have to worry about constantly having Facebook Messenger open for Strictly Savvy, which was really, really amazing for me.
Mhm. Yeah.
So love that one. We also have Chat GPT, which I'm going to hand over to you because you just absolutely love this tool. So,
I do. So the process that's repetitive or time no, it's not repetitive, but it's more time consuming, I think this one is coming up with blog ideas, social ideas, content ideas, or maybe you've got. So we have. This is a perfect example about a time saving automated process. We have a whole bunch of previous videos that we did
mm,
years ago that have transcriptions from them. And those transcriptions, we had a team member who was manually taking the transcription and rewriting it in more of a written form blog post or article. And that takes quite a lot of time. Now, by using a tool like ChatGPT, we pasted in the transcription and asked it to write it and create it as a blog post, and that rewrote it. Now, we go in and we edit it, and some might not be
mm,
our brand voice, so we'll change it slightly, but it took the kind of grunt work out of
yeah,
it and gave us a way better starting point
yeah.
to create a really good blog post from content that we already had. So, ideas, content ideas, and we use it for the podcast here. So coming up with the titles. So we'll put in what we're thinking the podcast episode will be about, and then getting the tool to actually come up with 10 different options for
Yeah.
a better sounding podcast episode title. So anything like that, writing in any way, giving you a starting point, coming up with ideas, that's a great one to automate in your business.
That's come such a long way as well. Never thought that we would be using a tool that was actually, yeah, coming up with better ideas than we could personally. So
Mhm.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, again, like Joe said, we're not taking, the marketing team's job off them. They're still needing to be there to make sure that the content that's coming out is actually appropriate and in the brand's tone of voice and that kind of thing. So it's just speeding up the processes rather than,
Mhm.
yeah, taking it entirely away.
And they can do such higher value stuff, more strategic stuff.
Mm.
They're not doing the like grunt stuff is the kind of the word that comes to mind. It's yeah, taking that away from them.
Yeah, and again, something that could come with human error because spelling mistakes and things like that,
Mm,
they're again gonna creep in for writing especially. So, yeah,
yeah.
all of those things, repetitive, time consuming, prone to human error. Have a think, sit down, figure out in your business what those things are. So that is step 1. Then
Mhm.
step 2 is actually choosing the tools that best fit your needs and actually starting to implement them into your business processes, I should say.
Yeah, so you'll need to research, the different options that there might be because there is a tool for everything and there are many tools that all
Mhm.
do a similar thing. Lots of different options can get very confusing. So have a look at some comparison articles are really good to
Yeah.
see which tool you should go with. And then you'll need to configure those tools to work in with whatever process you want to automate. Some of the tools and apps that we recommend could be ChatGPT, we've just talked about. And what are some others, T?
We've got MailChimp as well. This one integrates with quite a lot of things, and they again have a bunch of those sort of preset automations where you can have those lead magnets and have people on your mailing list and integrate with your website, that kind of thing. HubSpot as well, which is a huge chunky one. They have so many different automations that you can do within their marketing, the sales sort of side of things. So that is a really big one, and again, is going to depend on the type of business that you have, the kind of automations that you're looking to do. But HubSpot is a really, really great one, and they have again lots of articles themselves on recommendations for how to start doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zapier as well is another one, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, is actually a platform for automations.
Yeah, absolutely. That's their whole thing. That's what they do. They create you can create zaps in there. And Zapier is the tool that you would use if you have two tools that you're already using in your business. Maybe you have a CRM tool and a task management tool, and they don't integrate together. Zapier is kind of the bridge between two different tools, so that you can have something happen in one and it
Yeah.
does something in the other tool. So helps them talk when they don't uh, integrate normally.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, do your research, figure out what is going to work best for you, and yeah, this part of the process may take a little bit of time, but yeah, if you do that research and actually figure out the pros and cons and look at those versus sort of articles, then at least you're going to be starting on the right foot with
Hmm.
the right tools and apps.
Yeah.
So
And the
then,
key here is to also test and make sure that
yes,
they are working. So don't just set something up and then not test to make sure that you're like happy with what it actually does. And this can seem a little too overwhelming for you to take on. And if so, this is something that you should talk to a virtual assistant about
mm,
because they use all of these tools all
yes,
day, every day, and they understand how to do this really quickly. So again, we're thinking about like what is the best use of your time? If this is not your thing and you don't know about the tools or how to implement the automation, then your time is best hiring a virtual assistant so that they can do it for you much faster, much more efficiently.
mm. So then your next step 3 would actually be setting up the automations, like you started saying, Joe. This
Mhm.
is where you're going to be documenting the steps involved in each of those processes, and you may need to start the document or the process documentation from scratch, but it will pay off in the long run, I promise you. And
Mhm.
then you actually are going to be writing this process and looking at those parts that are going to be automated. So that's kind of why you're doing that.
Mhm.
And it may be you. It also may be one of your team that will sort of champion that project, and it may depend on what part of the business this automation is going to be for, because ultimately automation works best when it's driven by the people that are actually going to be using it, because they know what parts are really time consuming or what is going to be best for them to get that help with. So doesn't have to be you as the business owner, it can be one of your team or one of your managers or something like that.
Mm. And I think the importance of having someone champion it is because this is going to be a time consuming process for you to
Yeah.
set up these automations and it is going to take time and it's going to feel clunky at times and it's going to break and it's not going to work out right. So having someone who can champion it and take it
Mm.
from start to finish and get it implemented is going to be key here. Because if you have kind of everyone owning it, then no
Mm.
one will own it. And it will be one of those things that sits at the bottom of the list and no one ever gets around to it.
Yes. And a really important thing to note here as well is actually get that team member the training that they need. So a lot of those tools and apps will have those salespeople that actually sort of induct you to the
Mm,
tool or app. So HubSpot is a really great example. I can't remember exactly what they call those people, but they work alongside you to actually get you inducted to the tool, because it is quite a big tool, but they want you to be using all of the features really
mm,
well and make sure that you're doing everything in the app or the tool that you can actually do. So,
mm.
really, really key to let those team members do a decent amount of training rather than just throwing them in the deep end and trying to get them to just set up a tool that they've never used before in their life.
Yeah. And some of the other tools, they have a lot of like onboarding kind of um, training induction kind of videos into the tool if they're like a lower cost tool and YouTube is amazing for learning anything that you need to know about tools
Yep.
and setting them up.
Mhm. And also be sure to let everyone in on the process, the steps, about the automation, and actually start encouraging your team to look out for more opportunities to automate this specific process or any process in general, because once they get that confidence and they know that they can help make things run more efficiently for your business, then they will be looking out for those opportunities as well.
Mm. And opportunities for them to get rid of like the crap work that they don't like doing.
How
You're
can I make
real.
this better? How can I not do this?
Exactly. Yeah. And remember that this is not about replacing jobs inside your business.
Mm,
Once the automation is set up and it's working really well, it means that your team can then switch their time from low level process driven tasks to higher value tasks and ultimately do more things in their role that they enjoy doing.
yeah, that is so key. So key. And then once you've got those automations set up, then there is a fourth step as well, which is actually monitoring and regularly monitoring the automated process and actually making adjustments or little tweaks as necessary, because there's nothing worse than spending all this time and money actually getting this automation set up and then just leaving it in the background to do its thing and then it potentially breaking because you're not actually tracking it, or it not actually helping speed up processes because, yeah, maybe it is broken and one of your team members is having to manually correct a part of the process every time.
Hmm. Yes, very key. Evaluate how it's going, how effective it is. Keep an eye on like a better tool that might come along or
Yeah.
other tools and apps that can further automate things in your business. But make sure that you are checking. Have someone who owns the automation, the tool,
Mm.
and they are checking it regularly and tracking it.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we hope this has helped you figure out where to start and know that automation doesn't have to be this big, impossible project. It's not as scary as it may seem.
Mm.
So if you'd like support in streamlining your business, Strictly Savvy are actually tool and app experts, and we have helped coaches, tradies, and other businesses implement automations in their workflow. So if you'd like to find out more, then head over to strictlysavvy.co.nz and don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the Get Savvy podcast so you don't miss an episode.